Hey everybody, what is happening? Welcome back to House of Cards for episode number 40. That's a good little milestone, and I'm proud of making 40 videos for everybody out there. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed and has been watching the videos since day one or since yesterday, whatever. I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I will continue to do this for you. And if you haven't yet subscribed and you like frequent content about sports cards and different takes and different angles that maybe the other content creators you follow aren't talking about, that's kind of my shtick. I try to talk about things that maybe aren't in the real popular zeitgeist of the content world around sports cards. I try to bring something new to the table, and today's video is no different, because today we're going to be talking about a pretty cool set, and I'm going to be starting a new sort of, I don't call it a series, but something kind of consistent that I might do from time to time here. Just kind of as I do with the Monday mailbag, I wanted to create sort of another little mini series within the bigger channel here. And this one's we call Check Out This Set. I kind of ripped off the Check Out My Cards, the COMC, but I'm going to call it Check Out This Set. And these are going to focus on sets of cards from whatever year. It could be any year, any sport, anything that I think are interesting. And, hopefully have some sort of collectability to them, therefore having some sort of intrinsic value or investability. So that is sort of the path we're going to take today. And so again, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, like the video at the end if you enjoy it, and we will take it away. So I would like to kind of start by saying that I am a huge MMA fan, specifically UFC. I also enjoy boxing and other combat sports, but UFC has definitely became one of my primary favorite sports to follow, outside of baseball and basketball and football. But I really have started to see sort of the world of MMA blossom even further than it has over, say, the last 10 years or so. Their contract with ESPN and, other factors are definitely at play, making MMA very much a household sort of sport now versus, 10 years ago, where it was still a little bit on the fringe and you had to watch it on kind of, random channels on cable networks and stuff. It wasn't really in the prime time sort of zeitgeist like it is now. So that, and along with the fact that Panini announced that they are picking up the UFC license for the products, so Topps will no longer be making the products. It will be going to Panini, and that is starting this April, supposedly. Things could change with COVID and ship times and all that stuff. But as of right now, April is looking like when Panini is going to release its first product of UFC, which is going to be very exciting. So I thought this was a good time to sort of reflect on where the UFC kind of sports card market started and the set specifically that kind of started it all. And I want to preface this first by acknowledging the fact that, yes, there was a kind of outlier UFC set that came out a year prior to the one we're going to talk about from Donruss, but it was kind of a little bit of a weird set. Didn't really get much traction, and looking back on it, it looks kind of cheesy. It looks like real bad, like early 2000s graphics and so on and so forth. There's also been other things that Upper Deck has produced with the specific fighters licenses, through Goodwin's Champions and some other stuff, but nothing really, kind of solidified the UFC trading card market until this set came out. So we're going to jump right into it here. I'm going to take you to a website, sportscardradio.com. They put together a great recap of the first UFC Topps set in 2009. So we'll go there now. So take a look at this. All right. So this is the UFC Round 1 from 2009 Topps. So this was the first UFC set that was produced by Topps. This set is a very special set for multiple reasons. Well, number one, primarily a lot of the major fighters or the Hall of Famers are in this set, and these are considered their quote-unquote rookie cards, even though they may have been fighting years before this, like some of the really old school legends like Hoist Gracie and Dan Severn and those guys. They were in like UFC 1, which was back in the 90s. However, these are the first cards that they got from Topps, so a lot of people consider these rookie cards, but as we know, they weren't their true rookies because they weren't from the year that they actually first started fighting. Kind of very similar to 86 Fleer basketball, where it was Jordan's quote-unquote rookie year, even though he started playing 2 years before that. The set itself is kind of legendary because it was so short printed. It only came in, I think, 500 total cases that were produced, therefore about 6,000 boxes. So if you imagine what that is in comparison to today's print runs of Prism basketball or Topps Series 1 baseball or whatever it may be, I mean, this is a very, 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 very small print run, and I think this is going to add to sort of the legend of this set as far as how many actual cards are out there on the market, because there aren't many. This is definitely a very short printed, and it was only hobby exclusive. So again, these weren't available in retail. You had to get them from the hobby shops, and I think a lot of people probably slept on these originally. They were about $170 a box, and back in 2009, that was not a cheap box. So you could imagine a lot of people, first of all, had the skepticism of, well, UFC cards, that's weird, probably, right? Because not everyone was a UFC fan. And then, secondary to that is the price was pretty high. And so, you can kind of see how maybe this didn't get as much traction initially as you may have thought, which caused, obviously, for less product to be on the market. And therefore, nowadays, we're kind of seeing the results of that. The boxes now are going for astronomical prices. I will drop a recent eBay sale here for you to see sort of how much it will cost you to get a box of round one UFC, but definitely a lot more than $170. So this set is obviously on the rise. There's no question about it. I'm not the first to the party here, but I definitely still feel like it's early-ish in the party, especially with the onslaught of new sort of UFC products through Panini, which I think are going to bring more attention and eyeballs to the UFC market. So it's good to sort of grab these OG cards while they're still available before the herd moves this way. So let's look at the checklist here. So here is the breakdown. So, cases have 12 boxes per case. Each box has 16 packs and 8 cards, so you're getting over 100 cards a box, which is pretty nice because there's only 100 base cards in total. But look at these hits. You get 3 autos per box, which is great, 3 relic cards, 20 parallel cards, which is great, and then 8 insert cards. So, I mean, that's a solid box. Nowadays, you're lucky to get 1 auto and 1 relic card in a box that costs you $800. So, I mean, for $170, you're getting 3 autos. I think that's a pretty decent deal now, looking back at, that in retrospect, right? The base set is only 100 cards, which I love. It's super easy to collect. You can put together a set fairly easily. You'll probably get 80% or so of the set done from a single box, depending on how many duplicates you get, but most likely you'll get a good number of unique cards per box. And the parallels are very simple to understand. Gold parallel, no serial number. Now the gold cards are on a thicker stock than the base cards are, so that was something that not everyone was a fan of because of the fact that the thicker stock was very similar to like early Bowman gold parallels, where it was literally like 130 point stock versus like a 30 point stock. So a big difference in thickness, which also caused for a lot of easy like chipping and damage. So it wasn't, I would say, the best choice for this, but I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it feel more premium and give it that, kind of, I guess you call it higher end parallel sort of feel to it, but didn't work out great. And the base cards too had a lot of chipping issues just because they were full color all the way around, mostly dark backgrounds. It just caused a lot of issues with chipping. So these cards are also, with, not just the short printing of them, but also the just condition sensitivity of them makes the set even harder to get find. First of all, A, find them, and then B, find them in a good grade or at least a good raw copy that's gradable. there you go. You got the kind of the recipe right there for a very collectible set that a lot of people are going to chase because of those factors. So moving on to the parallels. So you got the gold, you got the silver, which is out of 288 numbered, which I thought is interesting. Usually it's the opposite, right? Usually gold is the more premium of the parallels, and they'll maybe be the numbered cards. In this case, the silver was the numbered card, which I'm not really sure the reasoning behind that, but it's kind of interesting. And then the red, which is 1 of 1, which I still haven't even seen one of these pop up yet. So I'm interested to even put eyeballs on what a red parallel looks like. So only 3 parallels, super easy to understand. So let's look at the actual checklist here. So number 1 is the legend himself, Royce Gracie, which, if you follow UFC or you know anything about MMA, I mean, this guy was the sort of the guy who made MMA, and who made UFC a household name. Royce Gracie, he won the very first UFC championship. He, retained the belt, fought every time, probably for the first 10 or so UFCs. His family was actually an initial investor into the UFC company. So the Gracie family was one of the original owners. So, they were just kind of there since the beginning. Royce was the chosen one out of the family to be the, representative in the ring, or the octagon, sorry. And, just a legend. So it totally makes sense to have him as the number 1 card in this set. Dan Severn, who's also a legend. He's definitely one of the greats, the Hall of Famers from the early UFC days. He was in UFC 1 and so on and so forth. So, great to have him in there too. And I want to point something out real quick before we get any further. You'll see the fighter, the first fighter, like number 1 is Royce Gracie, then you'll see a dash, and then Art Jimerson. Now, what that means is basically that Art Jimerson was on the card with Royce Gracie, showing the fight. So as you can see in this card here with Quentin Jackson, he's punching someone in the face here, and then his opponent's name is next to it but smaller. So this is the Quentin Jackson card, but it does have his opponent's name on it also, just to recognize the fact that he's on the card as well, which I thought was kind of smart, just because it's kind of weird to see another person on the card and not recognize them as being part of the picture. So it totally makes sense, but just want to clear that up as why you see 2 names under each card on this checklist. A couple other, we'll just kind of fly through some of the bigger names here. So you got Randy Couture, who's obviously a superstar, done all the UFC shows and stuff in the early days, just household name fighter, big name on the checklist. Chuck Liddell, obviously massive star there. I'm gonna just go fly through it. I'll probably miss a couple of the big guys, but Rich Franklin, huge name. George St. Pierre, GSP, huge name. Obviously, that's someone to look for. Something I thought was interesting here is that they had Patrick Cote, and then Tito Ortiz as sort of the second fiddle on the card, even though I don't think Tito even has his own card, which is kind of interesting considering, he became a pretty big megastar. So he's in the first set technically, but he's not the actual person that's featured on the card, which I thought was funny. Forrest Griffin, another great name. Of course, you got other names like you got, let's see here, Quentin Jackson. Rampage is also a great fighter. Anderson Silva, that's a huge one. You'll see we'll look at his pricing later. Anyways, who else? Nate Diaz, Brock Lesnar, of course, went on to giant, WWE wrestling fame as well. And then here's another part that I really like about this is that they also give love to the announcers, the refs, and the ring girls, which I thought was cool. So, Herb Dean, who's still reffing today, is one of the OGs, one of the great refs, Steve Mazzagatti, Mario Yamaski. You got Joe Rogan. This one is a monster card too. We'll look at the pricing later, but pretty cool to know that Joe Rogan's quote unquote rookie card is in this set, and you can find that for a pretty high price right now, and it's not going down. So might be something if you're interested to pick up, because you never know, that could kind of take the same path as the let's kind of compare it to the Bumblebee card for Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who had a very humble sort of college card, and then it ends up becoming a massive card because it he became the global superstar that he is today. So Joe Rogan is no slouch either. He's definitely a household name, between his comedy and his podcasting and everything else he does. He's pretty big. And then you got, Rochelle Leah, who's a great ring girl. Then Ariana Celeste, who's another one. And these ring girl cards are collected as well, man. You'll be surprised. They go for a good price. So don't sleep on the ring girl cards. And then, of course, Bruce Buffer, the voice of the UFC. He's the brother of Michael Buffer, who does the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble," as I'm sure all you know. But Bruce Buffer's been doing the UFC voiceover, not voiceover, but voice announcing for the opening of fights for a very, very long time. Okay, so let's look at the kind of the insert and the chase cards. So the autograph cards are pretty cool because they're easy to understand. There's only two types of cards. There's the blue ink and then there's the red ink, and the red ink is of 25 and then the blue ink is your base. So you got kind of the big dogs in here again, Hoist Gracie, Randy Couture, GSP, Anderson Silva, the usual suspects. So you can even get the ring girls, which is pretty cool. Get autographs for the ring girls. You can get Bruce Buffer's autograph. The referees' autographs. There isn't a Joe Rogan autograph, which I was kind of disappointed about because I thought that'd be pretty cool. But I think, back then, people were probably like, oh, Joe Rogan, who's that, And here's another kind of interesting thing, too, is like some of the insert cards or the auto cards or the relic cards, as you'll see, a few of them have certain kind of, serial numbers, or at least there's a recognition that one might have less than others. So in this case, Rich Franklin only has 440 total cards, which is interesting, assuming that the rest either have more or less. I'm not really sure, but they called that out for some reason, that he only had 440, so something went different with that one. Okay, so here's one where it has authentic fighter worn gear with an autograph, so very similar to your kind of rookie patch autos, RPAs that people are used to in the other sports worlds. So again, these are all only numbered to 25, so very short prints. Again, you're kind of pulling out the big guys, GSP, Quentin Jackson, Forrest Kelly. You got, most of the big names you want. You got Hoist Gracie there. So again, these are a pretty cool, super short printed set there. And then you got just the relic, cards that don't have the auto, but still, these are to 500, except for one guy, Sean Shirk, only did 350. So again, I don't know why that is, or if he just didn't have enough material to make 500. So who knows? But anyways, again, some of the big names in there as well. And then you got the debut mat relic. So this is kind of the, their debut fight in the UFC. So they kind of commemorate that with the date of their fight and then a piece of the mat from that fight. So pretty cool there. You get the mat. I don't know if it has like the blood on it and everything else, but you get parallels too. You got the gold of 88 and then the red 1 of 1. So again, the kind of the first name is sort of the lead name, and then the second name is sort of the secondary name. But again, you see some of the greats in there as well. And then the final sort of relic mat card or slash autograph is the debut mat relics dual autograph. So 2 autos on this with a piece of the mat. So this is only numbered to 25. So super short print on these, and you'll see sort of the names here. So Anderson Silva, Chris Liban is definitely one of the bigger ones out of this group. So these are pretty sweet. I think those are probably going to end up going for big dollars in the future. So a couple inserts here. These are the top 10 fights of 2008. And kind of interesting what they did here was they took a single fight and then they made 4 cards for each of the fights. So these do have parallels, gold and red again, to 88 and to 1 of 1. So you'll see here, Griffin versus Jackson, 4 cards here, 1 through 4. Pellegrino versus Tavares, 4 cards there. Wyman versus Tavares. So, you'll see some duplicates in here of fighters, but interesting concept here. I don't know why. I think maybe they wanted to show sort of more than one side to the fight, because if you're the one getting your face punched in the picture, then it doesn't really represent the fight very well if it was close or whatever, or if you got a couple good licks in and they didn't put that picture. So I'm assuming they wanted to kind of show a well-rounded fight, but there's 4 of each of those. And then the Victorious Debuts, which are one of my favorite inserts. It's a very nice kind of foil card insert with a parallel option of gold and red again to 88 and to 1 of 1. And then you got your sort of list of big names here for their first UFC debut. So pretty cool, and you can see they'll notate on the cards that the date that they debuted, so probably not in 2009 like I said earlier, but like Anderson Silva here was in 2006, but they still commemorate his first fight on these cards. So I think these cards are pretty cool and meaningful in that sense. So there you go, that is the whole set. So I think, as you will see, these cards definitely have started to pick up in value, and we're going to jump over to that real quick here. We're going to pop open my market movers here. So these dates kind of represent like late November to just here recently over the last couple of days. So easy to kind of see here. The prices are going up. So this is Chuck Liddell's base card raw. So this isn't a parallel and this isn't graded. This is just raw. So his prices actually only start here in January 10th. So I guess that's when they first had data around this or added it to their system. So you can see here it started at a humble $10, even sold a few days later for $8. But the most recent sale here on February 24th is $31, so pretty good jump. So overall, over the course of that, the last month and a half or so, the card itself has risen 188%. So pretty successful, jump in price there for old Chuck. Definitely a card that I think a lot of people are going to want. I would say he's probably in the top 5 cards of the set, just based on, kind of household name, and his, popularity within UFC. So definitely a card to look at. So let's look at a couple other of the bigger guys from this set. Let's look at Anderson Silva, another legend here. You can see his had a couple real big spikes in early February. Sorry, we'll wait for this to load. But we'll cheat down here and kind of look at the percent raise here, 96%. So not a huge of a rise as Chuck, but definitely has a lot more sales than Chuck, about double the number of total sales. So Silva started in late November here at about $27, and jumped up as high as $85. And this is for the raw card, guys. This isn't like a BGS 9 or anything. This is a raw card. So pretty, not too many UFC cards sell for $85 raw, so that's a pretty good price. It's kind of leveled off here, as you can see, over the last few sales at about 50-ish, 54, 52. So again, still a great price for a raw card as far as, how much the value is there. So nice 96% change there over the last few months for Mr. Silva. Now let's look at GSP, George St. Pierre. Another beloved figure within the early UFC days, definitely a UFC Hall of Famer. His cards have been really, really cooking. So look at that, 400% change. So we're looking at pricing from January 3rd. He was selling at about $49.99, so about $50. And then the last sale here, the most recent sale on February 17th, was for $250. Now, maybe that's a little bit of an outlier. I could see that, maybe being a little aggressive. But, even still, selling at over $100 here just, a few days before was a good jump from its original price. So $400% increase, which is huge. But even if you took away that and you just went from, $50 here to $113, that's still like a pretty big jump, definitely like 120% jump. So very, very big card within the set is GSP, and I think that's a lot of people's kind of main chase card, except for this next fella, Mr. Joe Rogan, who has definitely the most expensive card of all of these. His cards, we're starting to tracking not too long ago, late January, so January 24th, selling for about $200, kind of dip below that, a couple down here in the low 100s, kind of goes up and down, then it's slowly going up, and a little down, up. With a high here of $645 for a raw card. Again, I don't know if that's an outlier, but you can see, even here selling for $469, selling for $487. So these sales, 3 sales here of about $500 doesn't make it seem like this 645 is too far-fetched. Then all of a sudden it comes down to the 200s, 300s. So again, a very, very chased card. Joe Rogan card, 40% increase. And the reason why it wasn't more is because these last few sales have been down lower in the $300 range versus the $500 range. But still, very, very high end card within this set. And I, for some reason, have a sneaky feeling this card's gonna not go down much more than that. I think its base is right around that $300 range. So I feel like this card is going to have a lot more room as the set starts to dry up and as, Joe Rogan's popularity continues to grow. So very interesting. All right. Well, that is it for this episode, and I hope you guys learned a little something about this set. I really enjoy this set. I've started collecting it. I'm not hiding anything. I am picking these cards up. I'm doing it slowly because they ain't cheap, and I'm trying to grab, what I can that are in decent condition while they're still available. So if you're interested, take a look on eBay. There's quite a few copies you can find right now. There's even people selling complete sets, but they're not gonna be cheap. Expect to pay $700 to close to $1,000 for a complete set. The autos are very rare, very hard to find right now. The dual matte relic or dual auto matte relics are super hard to find because they're all numbered to 25. So again, if you're interested in these, I would jump on it and be looking for these to possibly have some higher prices here soon as Panini comes out with their products. All right, guys. Well, if you haven't yet, like the video. That would be awesome. If you enjoy this and you want to see more videos like this in the future, drop a comment below because I like to hear your feedback. And if you enjoy learning about sets that maybe aren't in sort of the mainstream mindset right now. And again, if you want to subscribe to this channel and get future videos delivered to you right away, hit the bell icon and that'll give you a notification once a new video drops. All right, well, until then, we will see you on the next video. Peace.